Joining us now from Washington, the moderator of Meet the Press, David Gregory, and on Capitol Hill, Republican Congressman from Florida, member of the Ways and Means Committee, Representative Vern Buchanan. Vern,
why don't we usually start with David, but why don't we start with Vern this morning? Vern, what's going on, man? We got a country, we got a world that is waiting for the House of Representatives to pass a bill. When's it going to get passed?
Well, we had a good conference yesterday. I thought we had the momentum through the day. I'm hearing we're a few votes short. We were hoping to get it done last night. I'm confident that we'll get it done today, and I'm also very confident we're not going to go home until we get it done, and hopefully by Tuesday we'll have this put in place.
How many votes short are the Republicans right now, despite the extraordinary arm twisting that John Boehner and the Republican leadership exerted on these freshmen?
I heard different numbers, somewhere between 2 and 6. We got a conference this morning at 10 o'clock. I'm confident the Speaker will get there today, and then it'll get kicked over to the Senate. We'll see what the Senate does with it. But we need to get this done for the American people. They're very, very frustrated, and we got to deliver and make this happen before Tuesday.
You know, very frustrated. I can also tell you very, very concerned. I just got a call right now from a guy overseas doing business, and people are looking across the negotiating table with him saying, what are you Americans doing? What the hell is going on? We won't reveal his name, but he's a business person that employs a lot of people. Vern, do those holdouts understand that there are conservatives like you and I who want to cut as much as humanly possible, but at some point we have to face the reality that we've got Democrats in Washington as well as Republicans?
Yeah, I think you mentioned negotiation. I've been in business 30 years. I'm not a career politician, but it's always been about win-win. The politicians might think they're winning in terms of the next election, but the American people are losing. And the bigger issue is we do need to deal with the spending. It's $4.5 billion a day, $188 million an hour of deficit that we're dealing with. We're adding another $2.6 trillion. And the problem we've got in our conference is a lot of people see just a lot of gimmicks. And we've got to deliver results for the American people. And that's not been happening on jobs, and that's not been happening on dealing with this deficit. And if we don't, everybody up here needs to be fired.
So, David Gregory, explain the mechanics here. If the House bill, if it doesn't go through the Senate, what are we watching? What's the process?
If they get it through the House.
If they get it through the House.
Right, if they get it through the House. Look, I think the scenario is that ultimately this comes together. Speaker Boehner is a legislator who's been around a long time. He knows that if he can delay, he has more opportunity for what the New York Times called the pizza seduction last night, trying to get over pizza, trying to get freshman lawmakers to agree and to ultimately support the bill. But if that happens, then it's very interesting. There is a view within the White House that they're relying really on Senate Republicans who they think will be frustrated with this process, who will ultimately give a little bit and lend some support to Senator Reid's plan. It may have to change a little bit, but still be a long-term extension, and ultimately that becomes the basis of negotiation. But this is very interesting. I mean, the maneuvering here, if you look at it, what the Republican House leadership is doing is still trying to stick to the same point they had last Sunday, which is daring the president to oppose a bill based on what they will call his political calendar, which is don't accept a short-term bill, even though that's not what they wanted in the first place. Rather than prevail on the argument that a short-term bill is bad for the economy. I mean, there's a lot of, not only a lot of maneuvering, but still a lot of placed confidence that raises questions on the part of Democrats.
Mike Barnicle.
Congressman, I want to ask you, why would anyone want to have a short-term solution to what we've seen, after what we've seen occur over the last 6 or 7 weeks, this chaos, this madness that is so infuriated and upsets so many people in this country? Why would you ever consider a short-term solution and go back at it again during an election year?
I think because people don't trust the process. They don't trust they're talking about Reid's proposals. We're going to get $2.6 trillion in cuts, but nobody believes that that's going to be a reality over 10 years. So we want to make sure the cuts get taken care of, and that's really the process. Maybe there'll be some kind of trigger mechanism or something that'll get put in there, but the bottom line is we're willing to raise the debt ceiling, but at the same time, we want to make sure that the cuts get delivered. I've been here 4 years. They've got all kinds of gimmicks up here, and it'll get you through the moment or the day, and you get something passed, and then you never get around to the other part of the deal.
And you decided, Vern, though, to vote yes on this, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes because I think it moves us in the right direction. I think we need to get something out of the House, and then the Senate will come up with something, and then obviously there'll be something that gets negotiated out of that. But more importantly, we've got to make sure we don't go in default the first time in the history of our country. And businesses in my community, I've talked to a lot of them, Joe, and I can just tell you that everything's come to a halt. We need to take care of this in the next 3 or 4 days. People that were buying houses or cars or other things are standing on the sideline. It's hurting the American people, and we've got to start thinking about what's best for America.
Congressman, are you saying it might take 3 or 4 days to get to a vote on the Boehner bill, or are you saying this might overall take 3 or 4 days to resolve the debt ceiling crisis?
I think we'll get a Boehner vote today. I think it's 3 or 4 days on the debt. Everybody wants to get it done by Tuesday.
All right.
We're willing to stay here day and night, 24/7, as Republicans and Democrats to make sure this gets done.
All right. Are you guys feeling optimistic about Boehner passing today?
Yeah, I do. We've got a conference this morning at 10 o'clock. I think there's been some momentum that's been picked up overnight, and I guess they were there early in the morning. So I feel like we're pretty close. I think we get there. I think it's important that we get there.
Willie?
Hey, David, it's Willie. We heard in the coverage last night and over the last couple of days that this was unprecedented. We hadn't seen a small group like this Tea Party is behave this way in the past and not respond to their own speaker. Is that a fair assessment, do you think, or what do you make of the dynamic inside that room last night?
Well, the dynamic is that this is a speaker who's not responsible for the election of these freshmen. That's the bottom line. Right. They're not in Washington because of John Boehner. And that's why he can't bring them over the line as easily as he likes, if at all. You know, it's not like Newt Gingrich back in Joe's day, who could turn to a lot of these freshmen and say, look, you're in Washington because of me. And I think that's the reality that John Boehner is facing. He's an establishment politician and the Republican Party that's experiencing a great sorting out of the party and a rebellion that began really after health care into the midterm election and continues now over the role of government principally, and of course over debt and government spending. But I will say this, I think it's interesting to look at a couple of leadership issues here. During the lame duck session, President Obama comes out well because he forges a compromise over taxes. Everybody thinks a near government shutdown, everybody looks bad. Does the president look good in the end? Because ultimately he brings the two sides together. He's the one, to Peggy's point, who forces a deal at the end. They think that, hey, the president looks like the great compromiser. He's ultimately going to bear some responsibility if he can't bring this over the line. However, Republicans also knew a grand bargain probably helped him more than them. How about Republicans? What about Mitt Romney? He is the front runner in the 2012 race right now. He couldn't be any farther away from this, from what's going on in the House. As a Republican, for the brand of Republicans, somebody like Mitt Romney doesn't want to be anywhere near it.
Yep, no doubt about it.
David Gregory.
I think everybody loses here.
Thanks very much. And Congressman Vern Buchanan, thank you as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, we'll be watching
Appreciate
Meet the Press this Sunday morning. That
No doubt about it.
Coming up, the U.S. cites new evidence that Iran is funding al-Qaeda. That story next. We'll be right back with more Morning Joe.